The holiday season is a celebratory time of warmth and joy. But for many seniors, especially those who are homebound, this cheerful time can exaggerate the feelings of loss, deteriorating health, as well as loneliness. And our next guest is an expert from the Visiting Nurse Service of New York, sharing her insights and telling us about some signs and symptoms that someone you know or love might be struggling with emotionally. And also how we can take some steps to help fight depression during the holiday season. Joining us now to share more details on the program, more details, is the program coordinator for Visiting Nurse Service of New York's Geriatric Mental Health Outreach Program, Susan Clayton. I finally got together. All right, Susan, we're good.
Hi, Daren.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm keeping it light. I'm trying to maintain because it's a good time of year, but for some, as we said, it's not so easy.
It is not so easy. The holiday blues has actually become a well-known term for what some people go through during this time, which can be some sadness and loneliness and grief. Right. And I'd like to point out, yes, this is a big part. This happens to seniors more often than the rest of us, but it can happen to the general population as well. Yeah.
Oh, and share a little bit, because you said, as we said, seniors are very adversely affected by this, particularly around this year. You would think that it would be great, but there's a lot of feelings and emotions that really they center and they struggle with.
There is. And the same things that affect all of us tend to affect seniors more. One of them is a lack of belonging. So you might have had a community that you were very involved with. You might have had family and friends around you. And unfortunately, when you get older, people pass away or they move away. You might lose your mobility and your ability to maybe even hear or see, and that can take away your opportunities to join festivities and to be part of activities and parties. So you just don't feel that sense of belonging anymore, and that does grow as we get older. Another thing that impacts us is seniors are more likely to be isolated because of those mobility issues and the change in their body. They might have a chronic illness that keeps them at home. You mentioned being homebound. Right. They might even be bedbound. Right? So that brings a sense of loneliness that they might have never had before. It could be even new for them this year, and that's a big consideration. And the other thing that actually impacts us all, the weather, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is a difficult time of year.
It is.
So even for us able-bodied, we trip, we slip, we fall. And so think about someone who uses a cane or a walker. If they're even able to get out of the home. It makes it that much more dangerous. So they really have to consider, can I get to that activity? Is this a good day for me to go out? You might have wonderful plans to be with family, and if there's a big storm, no one should be going out. And that's a big impact.
So you have an elderly person, you might have someone that's homebound. We've got plenty of relatives that we can look at and say, okay, wow. But recognizing the signs and symptoms are not always as easy as we think, but you can help us because you've mastered this here. So give us a little bit about signs, symptoms, things that we ought to be watching out for as we're spending time during this holiday season.
Absolutely. And there are some key signs. As you said, there's many different types of signs. People react to things in all different ways. We're all our own individual, right? But there's 5 key signs that we really want to look out for. One is, has there been a change in eating habits? They might be forgetting to eat, or maybe they're eating too much. Is there a change in their sleeping habits? Sometimes they'll complain that I can't sleep through the night. I'm waking up all the time, or I'm sleeping during the day, or I'm sleeping all the time. They might not be caring for themselves. You might notice that they're not showering as often. Their hair doesn't look good. They're not taking care of their home because they can't. They're not feeling well, and maybe they are not participating in the same things. Maybe they used to like to go to the senior center 2 times a week or 3 times a week, and they're not going anymore. And they're stating that I just don't feel like going, right? So they're losing interest in their regular activities. And the last thing is, sometimes they'll just say things like, I don't feel good. I'm down. I'm just not myself. Or they might be very blunt and say, I don't even know why I'm living anymore. Like, what's the purpose? I'm not doing anything. So these are some of the things, the 5 things that you can really see as being, you can see this sometimes in the holiday blues, but when it starts to get more serious in depression, you're going to see it more often and more days of the week.
So when you encounter that, right, what's the bring around? Like, you want to bring somebody around or do the best that you can to navigate them through that situation. What do you do?
Right. actually, it's pretty simple. We want to really just listen and ask them. Ask people. This is what we don't do. We get afraid to ask people how they're feeling. We get afraid to really hear what they're feeling. When they're saying they're down, oh, it's just today, you'll feel better tomorrow. No, we really want to listen and take what they're saying seriously. Try not to be afraid when they say something scary. When they say, I don't know why I'm still living, that's scary. It's understandable, but realize there's other things behind that. Also realize you don't need to know what the problem is.
Right.
We don't know if their medical issues are getting worse. We don't know if they might have a neurological issue that might be increasing. We don't know if it's depression, because those symptoms can be around a lot of different things, particularly for seniors. So when you start to feel, all you really have to sense is, this person is just not the same that they used to be. And then reach out for help. Don't wait. Call the doctor. Go to the doctor. Every doctor now can do a depression screening. Every doctor can check somebody out. That is very key to this.
And you talk about that depression screening. Taking somebody to that depression screening can be life-changing, right?
Yes.
And if you find out that somebody is depressed, what is it for family, friends? What can we do after we know that somebody's actually been clinically depressed? We know that there's some things. Of course, medication sometimes is involved, right? And sometimes not. But there's other things that we can be doing to be a better support.
Right. So being supports for our seniors, that's important. Like we mentioned before, asking and listening.
Right.
You know, we're always so busy. This is not always something we do very well. And even when you're a professional, you have to slow yourself down.
Right.
And remember, am I listening? Am I really hearing what they have to say? Take them to that professional that can give them the help. It could even be a mild depression, but they still need someone maybe to talk to. You want to check in on them often, right? And that doesn't mean you can always visit. We don't always live in the same state. We don't always live in the same country. Call. Call as often as you can think. It doesn't have to be a perfect call. It can be 2 minutes, just checking in on how they're feeling. Involve them in the activities of the season, right? They are still here. They've had many parties themselves.
Right.
They know how to help you. They know how to bring something to the occasion. Bring that in. Also realize when you're having an activity, you might need to change it and create a new memory. Maybe you used to go to the Christmas parade every year. That might not be the thing anymore. Put it on the TV. Have everybody gather. They can still give their comments, and they can still have a new activity together, right? It doesn't have to be the same. We really want to think about showing affection. Don't forget to bring them in. And really lastly, if you're seeing something, please really do reach out for help. You can also reach out to community resources if your doctor is not available.
And it's important. If you see something, you have to say something.
See
right?
something, say something.
That's been the talk, right?
That's
it.
right.
Susan, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Hopefully we've been of assistance to some families and some people this holiday season. Thank you. Susan Clayton, our guest here. Now, if you want more information on visiting Nurse Service of New York, you can visit their website at vnsny.org or check them out at their Instagram at VNSNY. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our show today. A lot of guests. I want to thank them all for joining us. Also want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum's Channel 67. If you don't have that, Verizon Files, that would be Channel 33, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You can also catch a brand new episode of Open with Rena Valentine on Friday. That wraps it up for us here on the set of Open. I am Daren Jaime. Make sure to keep this channel wide open. Take care. God bless. And to all those watching on the MNN Network, my sister Ann, God bless you. We'll see you soon. Take care.